Hey guys, so my name is Stephen Quon. I'm an equestrian video and stills photographer. For those who currently do not know me, I'm here at Fleetwood Farms with Ryan Fleetwood.
Hello everybody.
Ryan and I have an exciting video for all of you to watch and enjoy. We each are going to have our own segments, and we're going to have a lot of information for you guys to take in and digest. So Ryan's got a few different several topics to discuss, and then I'm going to have my own topic at the very end. And Ryan, or just recently, you had your Fleetwood Farms estate sale. How did that go for you?
Yeah, we did. It was a very good sale. We had a great day, and a lot of people watched online, and there were a lot of people here. We sold 23 out of 38 lots.
Wow.
So we'll call it a moderate success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does sound great. So, and I was there at the sale, and it ran really smoothly, and
Thank you.
Great success for you guys.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead with the video. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey everybody, here we are on one of the Fleetwood pastures. This is our lake pasture, and this colt is Ashley's, so Rugged Ashley's colt by Done It Okay. He went through our Fleetwood estate sale a couple of weeks ago, but he did not sell, so this is one of the guys that's still available. And maybe if I step away from him a little bit, he'll quit looking like that. But basically this colt, just a tremendous athletic, elegant colt out of a mare who's 3/4 thoroughbred but registered quarter horse, and then by Done It Okay, who really needs no introduction. This colt has everything that we could ask for from his parentage. So he's going to have a lot of length and height and stand up really straight, beautiful. He's just put together fantastically. So this colt is one of the few that's still available from 2019, and he is going to come in this beautiful dark dun color with lots of leg and stretch and height and movement, great neck and front end, and all the things that go along with all the Ashley colts. So that's Rugged Ashley. She is a daughter of Rugged Lark. Rugged Lark was a twice over AQHA World Super Horse, and she's out of a thoroughbred mare. So you can see the thoroughbred in her. That's how she ended up 3/4 thoroughbred and registered appendix quarter horse. And then I guess if we come over here, this little filly is out of our Looking at a Riata mare, and she carries a copy of Silver and a copy of Done. She's sired by Done It Okay, and we believe she carries a cream dilution, but have to check and actually send the sample away to find out exactly what she is. She did run through our estate auction, but I have since decided that this really just carries so much class and so much elegance that I think that she'll just remain with us now, and she probably won't go anywhere. This is the other Rugged Lark daughter. And she's out of a daughter of Shorty Lena. So the cool part about her is that so many of the Rugged Larks, like Ashley, were out of more thoroughbred or English discipline type mares, whereas this mare is more of a cow horse bred on the bottom side. And then that's her colt right there with his butt to us, and he sold in the estate sale. He's sired by our Starstruck Done It horse. And if we move on here, so the red dun mare with her ears up is a daughter of our Jack's FedEx, and her colt is a Shiver Shake, the one that's laying down, and he sold in the sale. Yep, that guy. Hi, wake up. Good morning. Good morning. You gonna get up? Or just stay there? Yeah, this is a tremendous colt too. This is Tori. She's a daughter of Mr. Sunalina and out of a daughter of Mr. King Peppy by Mr. San Peppy. So I love her old time quarter horse breeding. And that is her colt by Done It Okay, just to your right there. And he sold in utero, actually. This filly is a Shiver Shake, and she's out of a daughter of Simply a Spark, who is out of a daughter of New Cash. This is a pretty tremendous filly, and she is sold as well, but we're sure happy with her. And right here, this filly is out of one of our Ducks Hickory daughters, who's right beside her. That's her mother. And the filly is sired by our Rollin' in My Dooley stallion. So a very, very well-bred filly. She was sold in our Designer Foal program, so that is where you can order up what you want, the year that you want it, the sire, the dam, etc. It's a great program because it gives people some time to pay for that purchase before they get it, and you can basically order up what you want that way. So 3 different ways to buy foals from us: Designer Foal program, in utero, or after they're born. Here we are in another pasture. Just wanted to show you some of the mares and foals here. This is our Tanqueray Gin daughter, who sold at the Fleetwood Estate auction a couple of weeks ago. And then this is her Pegasus daughter. See if we can get her out. And she sold at the sale too. And here, this buckskin mare is a daughter of Jack's FedEx, and her filly is by Silver Lincoln. And though she came out Palomino, she does indeed carry a copy of Silver, and the Silver you just won't see unless there's black for it to show on. So the filly is yellow, but does carry the Silver. We named her Silver and Gold. And this little colt here is our youngest guy, and he is by Shiver Shake and out of a daughter of Shining Spark. So he's a grandson of both Ducks Hickory and Shining Spark, and a colt that just has a lot of class and presence, and he's going to be a real showstopper when he gets a little older. He's the youngest one out here, so you don't quite see everything in him yet, but I can see what he's going to be. So I'll go back this way and look at Playful Mary. Playful Mary is the bay mare here. So she is a 99 model, but she's a direct daughter of Freckles Playboy and out of a daughter of Docalina. And the filly laying in front of her is her filly, and she is a Shiver Shake. And if we look over this way, I've got a couple of I guess what you'd call heart horses. They're kind of kept for sentiment and because they're sired by a stallion that I owned years ago, and his name was Pepsi Max. And I have 2 of those mares, and this is one of them. Her name is Promise. And Promise got her name because she was born after her daddy died, and I promised her that she would never live anywhere else. So she was my riding horse for quite a few years. And then we started to breed her, and so she's had a few babies here now. And this is her filly right here. She's sired by Champ Silverado, and though she is red and doesn't have the black to show it, she also carries silver. Out in the distance there, the Palomino mare is Shelby, or My Blonde X. She was in the sale, didn't sell in the sale, but she has a super nice rolling in my dually filly on her, who did sell in the estate auction. And Shelby is sired by our old Jack's FedEx horse. He was the real pretty buckskin horse that we found in California and then brought him up here. And that was 10 years ago already, but just found him online, and there was only his name there. So I looked up his pedigree because they hadn't listed his pedigree, and was pretty surprised to find out he was a grandson of both Doc Bar and Pocotivio. A lot of people even then didn't believe me that that's what he was, but that's what he was. And I think I credit that horse probably with putting us on the map as far as stallions go. He just had this, what they call the look of eagles. My mother called it the look of eagles. He was this regal, magnificent, short-eared, sharp-featured, beautiful horse. You know, he really showed his breeding. And so we've kept a lot of his daughters in the herd and used them. They've really done us well. So that was just one story. So coming up here, this is Bobby, Gruya, daughter of Jazz Poco Golden Blue. She's been a very popular mare here. She's done us very well. And so she is out of a granddaughter Poco Bueno. So she's kind of line bred back to that old foundation breeding and the Poco Bueno breeding, which we have always loved. My mother had a Poco Pine bred horse that was probably her favorite that she ever rode. And of course, Poco Pine was a son of Poco Bueno. The filly on this mare is a Done It Okay, and we also put her through the sale, but I have since decided that I'm going to keep this filly. She's a great filly, easy to deal with, super nice to be around. She's homozygous black and homozygous dun. She's 5-panel clear, so we'll keep her in the broodmare band and use her in the future for sure. That dark colored filly out there is this one is a Starstruck Dunnet. She is a buckskin, believe it or not. And one of the only 2 Starstruck Dunnets that we have from last year. But a really beautiful, tremendous filly out of an old line-bred Sugar Bars mare. This is Zoe. Bar IJ Poco Sugar is her registered name. And Zoe's been a great mare for us. She was one of the favorites of my mom's. And she's sired by an old stallion that we ended up owning, and his name was C.E. Poco Carablanca. And C.E. Poco Carablanca was blind when we got him. And he had some degree of founder and bowed tendons and all sorts of problems, but he was a really neat old horse because you could do anything with him. He just trusted you so much that you could easily get him, you know, step up into a trailer, into a barn, or down, whatever he had to do. It was pretty neat to deal with a blind horse. He really had to trust his humans. This mare is Frankie. She is a Jack's FedEx daughter, and I just talked about Jack's a bit ago. She's out of an old mare who still had Leo on the face of her papers, and she really brings some size and class and style to the broodmare band. So many times people want horses that are going to have a little more height than what a lot of the pedigree does that we carry here. it's hard to find height in kind of that old timer cow horse pedigree like what we tend to like. And that bay colt with the wrap on his leg is her colt. He went through the sale but didn't sell there. And the other colt that you're looking at now is out of Silken and by Done It Okay. He also went through the sale but didn't sell there. And he's very cool because he carries both the dun factor and the silver dilution. So he shows all the classic dun factor, the leg barring, the transverse stripe, and the line back, and the shadowing on his ears and all that stuff. But he also carries the silver, so you can see that in his mane, how it turns silver up at the top. He's just a tremendous colored and got a tremendous disposition on this colt too. He's very cool.
So I've been going to Fleetwood Farms for just over a year now, with my first visit being in July of 2018. And when I look at my current work, some of my best work has come from Ryan's place. So I would just like to take some time here to go over what would be my top 5 favorite images in terms of what I have taken at Fleetwood Farms and what makes each and every one so special to me. I will also go a little bit more in detail in terms of how I went about taking these images, my thought processes behind them, the time and day, the setting, the location, and hopefully this gives you guys some tips and insight in terms of what you can apply to new photography needs and so on. So sit back, enjoy, and take it all in. Here is number 5. I know when I first see this image, many will just say, well, you know, it's just a herd, which is true, but to me it's much more than that. It was about capturing the Fleetwood property in its finest, and that's how I saw this image or went about it. Not only did I want to show the living environment that these horses live in each and every day all year round, but this was also one of the very first pictures that I took in my first visit to Fleetwood during the first morning heading out to pasture. Now, when I arrived at Ryan's, the first thing I did was I actually walked through one of his pastures because I wanted to study and analyze his land formation and get a better feel for how his light flows through his pastures. And because when you work with sun and hills, there are many things that you can do to manipulate that light that you would not be able to achieve on flat land. You know, you can work with different angles and you know, including getting some aerial shots. But I find it to be more fascinating, especially when you're working in such a big space. Now, for this image, you know, during sunrises and sunsets, you know, that sun moves so fast that, you know, you have to watch the sun just as closely as you do your subjects, because each time it shifts, you know, it changes the lighting dynamics of your setting, and it takes away photo opportunities, but also gives you new ones. And one of the best things when you work with hills is that, you know, like I mentioned earlier, is that you can work with elevation, and that's exactly what I did in this image here. Was that I was actually on another hill than these horses, about 25 feet up, and I just, you know, I took a nice angled shot so that I was able to get most of the land here in terms of, you know, because of how I framed it, I gave this image a sense of direction so that the viewer's eye will naturally shift from the bottom right corner from the horses to the top left, because you're interested and you're curious in wanting to know where these horses are heading, and, you know, wanting to know what kind of environment that these horses are living in. So this one I just love, and I felt that I really sold the environment on these healthy, happy horses. Let's go on to number 4, and this one was taken this year, I believe in June. And this is an image where it's a moment I haven't gotten a lot of when it comes to horses bonding and communicating. And you know, it's not that I haven't found them, but it's, for the most part, it's just that I haven't been in the I just haven't been in the right place at the right time. Because when you photograph horses, you know, when you look at a lot of these, you know, some of the best images online that you take a look at, a lot of them are, you know, it all comes down to being in the right place at the right time. And, you know, you have to have a lot of luck on your side. You have to have great lighting. You have to have, be in the right moment, and you have to have your camera ready for the most part. So, you know, when it comes to horses, you know, we can't dictate, you know, when we're going to be able to get certain moments. You know, it's not, we don't have too much control in terms of how they're going to act or react, or how they're going to communicate with each other. So this moment here I caught in the moment, and it was just one of those times where, you know, I believe they were just starting to run, and I just saw this one horse's head or his muzzle just go above this horse on the right, just on his or her top line. So, and because I took this one close up, it gives it a little bit of a deeper meaning, as opposed to if I was to take this at a wider angle. And, you know, I would love to take more of this kind of stuff. I just have to get those, you know, I just have to be in the right places to get these kind of moments. So this is one area that I would like to really grow in terms of getting more of these images, getting more moments of horses, you know, bonding, scratching, grooming each other, communicating with each other on a more, you know, physical level, and so on. Number 3. Now this one I did post, I believe about a month ago, a piece of wall art, because I actually did this in 24 by 36 canvas. So, and I absolutely love this image. This one was, I actually, believe it or not, I wasn't even going to take this, but I did, and I'm very glad that I did. Looking back, I was just walking up a hill, and I saw mare and baby, and I said, you know what, I obviously saw the moment, and I saw it before it even happened. And as I was walking up, I debated for a second if I should even take it or if I should just pass on it, because I do have moments like these. I do have moments where, you know, horses are just, you know, they're on the top of the hill and I'm just below them. But this one was magical, because not only because of the cloud and the sky formation, but because obviously the mare and foal they have their ears up and they're looking in different directions, and they're both very curious. So, so they're both focused on something, and, you know, obviously if they didn't have their ears up in this picture, it definitely would not have the same meaning. And if they were not looking in you know, directly in certain directions, then it wouldn't have the same meaning as well. So absolutely love this image. I'm very glad I captured it, and it's just one of those ones where, you know, again, you don't expect it. I didn't expect it. So you know, when you go about taking pictures and learning photography, some of your best moments, in fact many of your best moments, are going to be ones that are unexpected. They're not going to be ones that are planned. They're going to be ones exactly like this one. Number 2. This one is, I think it sells itself, you know, 2 foals scratching each other. And I captured this one on the very same night of number 1, which I'm going to show after this one. And it's on the same night of, or at least the same weekend of, you know, at least 4 or 5 of these other pictures that I showed in my top 10. The golden hour in this one was absolutely beautiful. And again, it was extended. It was taken in July. I had, you know, lots of opportunities to work in this magical light and find those absolutely best moments. And these 2 foals were just on top. Well, they weren't quite on top, but they were at an angle on a hill. And because I was on the same vertical plane as them, I was able to get this so that when you look at it, I was basically shooting straight on to their straight onto their top line. So, and this is just, I think this is a moment that many horse owners and lovers love to capture. You know, horses communicating and scratching and grooming each other and just showing their respect and, you know, their bond and communication and for each other and so on. And when I look back at this image, you know, I think this one's going to be pretty hard to beat because the way that I captured it in this kind of light, and you know, these two foals are, you know, they're pretty close to the same size, if not the same size, so that obviously helps framing your subject. If this was had two foals and one was a lot bigger than the other one, it wouldn't quite have the same impact, and it's just a lovely image altogether. And we are here at number 1. Now this is an image that I would expect many of you for me to anticipate this image as one of my best images at Fleetwood Farms, and in my opinion it is the best because it has that wow factor, and there's a reason why I have this in 40 by 60 in my house, and it's going to be shown as a main piece in trade shows when I do get around to it. So so this image, I mean, there's many different things to it, but it's one, as soon as I shared it last year, it was talked about a lot, so it's one of my most talked about images, and it's one where I've gotten endless questions on in terms of how I got these deep, rich, saturated colors, and I'll go more into detail on that in just a minute. And this image I took on during my first visit at Fleetwood Farms last July. It was a Saturday evening. I was out in the field with Ryan. He was taking pictures. I was as well, and it was during the second half of the sunset. This image actually almost never happened because I was just about to ask Ryan to head back to the house. So how I went about taking this picture was I was sitting there for about 10 minutes, and I saw this foal was isolated from the rest, so I had you know, that complete subject isolation, and just happened to walk parallel to me, and I just figured, you know, well, this lighting isn't the greatest because it was starting to, well, for the most part it was dying off, but this foal was just walking from my left to my right, and I figured, well, let's take this image, but I wanted to take an HDR, and this is how exactly I took this image to get these colors. Now, what HDR is, for those who don't know it, is it's basically where your camera takes 3 different pictures at 3 different exposures and puts them into one. And what it does is it balances the shadows and highlights of your image so that you don't get any great variation between the two. Now with this image here, so as the foal was coming into my frame, I just took one picture. Right away, once I looked at it off my camera, I knew that this was going to be a real stunner. So there you are with my top 10 favorite images at Fleetwood Farms to date. And hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of an insight in terms of how I work and my thought processes behind my images and how I went about them. And obviously I have a huge preference in terms of you know, working in the golden hour. There are certain times of the day that I will not work in. I am quite specific and quite picky in terms of how my subjects and how my environments are lit, because I know well enough by now just how much of a factor you know, your golden hour and your lighting conditions will have on your images and your opportunities as well. So now next week I will be sharing 2 or 3 new images that I just took at Fleetwood Farms just this past week when I shot the video with Ryan, and so look forward to it over the next few days as I go about sharing these images. And I have a feeling that 1 or 2 of these pictures are going to be one of the top 10 to date. So there you are, guys. Talk to you soon.